गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Everything in this world is cognized. Sorry, we are in Ishavasya Upanishad, first verse, and yeah. So, as I was saying, everything is cognized by us in this world as presence, as is, it is, including the absence. Also, we say it is absent. Absent also is, and so what happened? Ah. So, existence is consciousness for everything that is. When we say things are, everything is, the world is, the God is, I am, absence is, the substratum of everything becomes the I. Substratum becomes the consciousness. And therefore, the name of the game is that as we live in and through our life, in every experience of our life, in every encounter of our life, in every contact in our life, we discover this presence. And this presence is not out there. This presence you have to discover. I'm talking to you. This language that is being employed right now, this is the interaction going on. But what is it reminding me of? Is it reminding me of you? Yes, I could be speaking to you. Is it reminding me that I am giving lecture? It could. Or is it reminding me at this moment that there is some substratum on which this drama of teaching and learning is going on? And that consciousness, even though it is everywhere, Purnamada Purnamidam, but it can be accessed only here and now as I. See? So with this, and as a result, what happens when we experience everything as I? When I'm interact, then there will be no desire, because everything is pervaded by the substratum. That substratum, when we look at the outside world, it is called Brahman. When we look at it within, it is called, and that world also includes body, breath, mind, intellect. And when as a seeker we look within, it is called Atma. And that Atma and Brahman are one, Aham Brahmasmi. So that principle, that presence, that conscious presence is the all-pervasive principle. That is the material as well as the efficient cause. Yes, last week we talked about Abhinna Nimitta Upadan Karan. Abhinna, undifferentiated. Normally we see cause and effect are separate. Parents are separate, child is separate. See? Space, air, fire, water, earth are separate. Inside and outside is separate. Man and woman are separate. See, light and darkness are separate. So, in other words, cause and effect are separate. But here, our by thinking as according to Ishavasamidagam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat, instead of giving power to the sense of otherness by thinking about it, we are shifting our attention to that principle which is the common denominator in spite of the differences. And this has not been taught to us. This is something new which Vedanta brings to us, the Upanishads bring to us. Only Upanishads, nowhere else it is given. A conscious, determined, relaxed, effortless effort, initially effort, yes, towards that common denominator without which all this is not, all this is, because of which all this is and all this is not. Both ways you can put it. So here we were, where were we? Jagatyam iti, we are in the third paragraph of the first mantra. Jagatyam iti upalakshanarthatvat sarvameva nama rupa karmakhyam vikara jatam paramartha satya atma bhavanaya tyaktam syat. And here in the previous verses where it said yatha chandana agarvaderu dakadi sambandha jakledadi jam aupadhikam daurgandhyam. So that example that was used was of the sandalwood, and we saw that sandalwood, when it comes in contact with water, it starts stinking, and when you allow it to dry, when the water is given up, then the fragrance comes out of it. Exactly the same way here, either you can put it that way or you can put it that when you do churning. What is churning? When you do enquiry. When you do enquiry, so what is the water? The water is the the sense of otherness. The water is the world. The water is the Jeev Jagat Ishwar. This is Jeev means individual, Jagat means the world, Ishwar means the Lord. This is how we have divided the world. Even though it is one, we are perceiving, well, we imagine that it is, all these three are separate. But actually it is one. So when we start inquiring about it, then as a result of the inquiry, the fragrance will start coming out. Fragrance of purity, fragrance of realization in that sense. There, the Trambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam. That Lord Shiva is Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam. The fragrance that comes out of him is nourishing. When we enjoy the fragrance of the flower, we enjoy it. Oh, beautiful fragrance of the rose, Lincoln rose, David Lincoln rose. This rose, that rose, this is this chameli, this is champa, this is naga champa, this is chandan. But chandan by itself will not give you the fragrance unless and until it is rubbed, or if it is wet and when it is kept to dry, then it gives you the fragrance. Same way, when will we give fragrance? When does Mahatma give fragrance? When he has churned himself, and as a result of that churning, he comes to that one principle which was covering, which was being covered by the Jeev Jagat Ishwar. Actually it is one, but it was covered by Jeev Jagat Ishwar. Totality, individuality and the world. All three are existing because they support each other. You take one of them out, the whole edifice collapses. And in this way, the sense of otherness, as a result of this inquiry, the sense of otherness is rejected. Here it what is that? Nama Rupa Karmakyam Vikara Jatam Paramartha Satyatma Bhavanaya Tyaktam Syat. That we give up what? Just out of bhavana. What is that we give up? Tena Tyaktena Bhunjitaha, it was told. We give up giving reality as a bhavana. You move around in the world normally, but in your heart of hearts, you give up, you have the bhavana of not accepting this Jeev Jagat Ishwar as real. And our attention is on that common denominator, which is in spite of the multiplicity. Because without that denominator, Jeev Jagat Ishwar also cannot express. Last week I was giving you the example of TV screen. We are seeing the entire movie, but we don't see the screen. But without the screen, you cannot see the movie. So what is that screen here? What is that common denominator here? For that, tena tyaktena bhunjitaha, you have to give up the desire, your obsession with the name and form, sentient and insentient. Here it was told. That is what the meaning of Jagatyam is. That sthavara jangama. That which is inert and that which is conscious. Everything we have to tena tyaktena. And bring our attention to that, what do you call? Tena tyaktena. That by this process, what happens is, we have knowledge, but right now we have knowledge of the world. When we come to a satsang like this, when we come to a text like this, Vedanta, we are rejecting the knowledge of the name and form. Instead, our continuous attempt is to contemplate on that common denominator. And this common denominator is not other than the knower. Because the whole process, who is doing the inquiry? I am. Who knows the world? I. Who has the bhavana that there is a world? I. Who believes in God? I. Who is afraid of the world? I. So in the end, we can't keep this common denominator as a separate entity, concept. No, we have to consider, we have to come to this conclusion that this knower that I am is the same as the common denominator or the Isha. And in this way, now, and as a result of that, all the changes that take place in our life, we do not get affected by them because our attention, we are doing the bhavana that we are of the nature of Paramatma Satya. We are that infinite truth. We are that infinite reality in essence. See? Now, continuing. एवं ईश्वर आत्म भावनया युक्तस्य पुत्रादि एषणात्रय संन्यासः एव अधिकारो न कर्मसु. तेन त्यक्तेन त्यागे त्यागेन इत्यर्थः। न हि त्यक्तो मृतः पुत्रो वा भृत्यो वा आत्मसम्बन्धितायाः अभावत् आत्मानं पालयति अतस्त्यागेन इति अयम् एव वेदार्थः भुञ्जीताः पालयेताः। Now the word bhunjitaः. So what is he saying here? So he says that एवं ईश्वर आत्म भावनया युक्तस्य, he who is having the bhavana, imagination, feeling, whatever you may, bhavana is more than feeling, it comes only out of faith. So he who is having this bhavana that I am the substratum of this world, so in the absence of experience, even in the absence of experience, something is accepted. And what is this something that is accepted? Something is accepted. How? Out of Shraddha. So we have not realized the self. Just like you, majority of the people go to the temple, they have out of Shraddha, faith, out of faith only they have accepted the Lord. No child has ever experienced his own birth. Only out of faith the child accepts the parents as his biological parents. It's out of faith. So when we accept something out of faith, that is bhavana. And he who is practicing this bhavana, then which bhavana? Paramatmataya bhavanaya. What was that told here? Paramartha satya atma bhavanaya. See? So he who is practicing that, he is of the nature of the Paramatma, of the reality, of the common denominator, of the common common substratum, the foundation of everything in essence. Then what happens in his life? Putradi eshana traya sannyasa. He renounces the eshanas. Eshanas are three. There are three of these eshanas. And what are they? First is desire for a child. Second is putreshna, vitteshna and lokeshna. So putreshna is desire for a child. Why do majority people die for have a desire for the child? In tradition, very, very traditional. They want someone to light the fire to the pyre, then they will go to heaven if the son has done it, or bury them in the ground, whatever. Then second is or the son, because the son will take care of them in the old age. Nowadays it's not, it's all breaking up. Nobody is there for anyone. Then second is vitteshana. Vitteshana is the desire for wealth. That is the sense of security. Continuously man is striving. Watch yourself. How many days you look at your bank balance in a week or in a month? How many times you buy and sell the shares? Vitteshana. We feel that if we have the money, we will be secure. If we have the siddhis, we will be secure. If we have relationships, we will be secure. This is the wealth of relationships, wealth of friendship, wealth of money, wealth of power, wealth of control, wealth of lordship. But in this world, nothing remains constant except one. And that is the Paramatma. The common denominator is only the permanent one. Just like on the TV screen. The screen is the permanent one. The movie comes and goes, wealth comes and goes, birth comes and goes, death comes and goes. And the third desire is lokeshana, the desire to be famous, have great name, have great honor, have great recognition within the society. And for that, they are ready to do anything. They want to leave a name behind. They build the temples, they build the ashrams. Look at Haridwar, go to Haridwar and see. People step on the stones they, which declare how much money they gave to the temple, only to be stamped by people. So these three ways, when one person out of faith contemplates on that in every experience, every moment, is alert towards that poise of consciousness, poise of the self, which is none other than infinite reality, then these three ashanas, they start leaving him, they start dissolving away. He is not disturbed by these desires. And in this way, as long as the world is other than me, world is separate to me, till then the desires can erupt within my mind. But once I have undid this equation of duality and come to this realization and are moving in that direction by doing the bhavana that everything is essentially one, and that one I am, then the desires cannot have sway over such a seeker, or such a person. Just like the desires cannot have sway over a person who is totally, you don't know what sleep is, you do the bhavana of going to sleep, you have faith that you will go to sleep, and you think of sleep, and all the desires from your bosom get dissolved by themselves. They stop persecuting you, and you go into the lap of sleep. Exactly the same way. Here we don't want to go to sleep. Because we are consciousness. But the realization is similar. What is that realization? Like sleep. Where nothing is disturbing you. Not because you are running away from it, because it has left you. Because it has left you. So what is our problem then? Our problem is we are maintaining the sense of otherness, we are maintaining the sense of duality, we continue to conclude in our life that the world is separate to us, and therefore the desire for the world, in very simple words, desire to sleep and desire to wake up. Every day it's happening. Now we have to change something in this. This phenomena is going on. And here he said, everything in our world, in our life, is on basis of Shraddha only, on basis of faith and bhavana. So if that is the way mind works, why not have the bhavana that I am the common denominator, I am the self that is pervading, that is the abhinna nimitta upadan karan, that is the undifferentiated, the creator as well as the material that has gone into this creation. If you can think of sleep which cannot be thought of and surrender to it, why can't you consciously contemplate on consciousness. And it is not something that you don't know. It is you, it is your nature. Absence is not your nature. Sleep is absence. Absence is not your nature. So that which you don't know, yet you are able to surrender. Here you know, you are conscious. What is so difficult to do the bhavana of the self, which is all inclusive principle? Nothing is outside of it. Om Purnamada Purnamidam. This is the U-turn that is required. Tena tyaktena bhunjita. Bhunjita means desire. Tena tyaktena, by giving up. Actually, you are not giving up. You are only shifting your attention and doing the bhavana of the all-inclusive principle. In that process, everything gets given up. See how beautiful it is. We accept the world by two ways. When we accept the world as I, then there is love towards the world. When we accept the world as an illusion, then there is no love. This is my body. There is love for this body. These are my clothes. There is love for the clothes. This is my husband or wife. There is love towards, because whatever the I starts including within its definition. Parents, child, extended family, my. Not merely mamta, where mamta and ahanta come together. When it is only mamta, it is infatuation, where then it is attachment. When it is only mine, mine still keeps that person separate. See, he is my husband, these are my parents, this is my child. But when it comes to the child, this is my child, but this mother can experience because she has given birth to the child. She doesn't see the child, even though she sees the child separate physically with the form, but somewhere in her bosom, in her heart, there is a deeper connection. See, when we include something or someone in the definition of I, not merely attachment, then there is love. If we are getting disturbed because of including them in the definition of I, then it was not love, then it was attachment or infatuation. And if you consider, so we don't want to go down the pathway that the world is an illusion. We don't want to go down that pathway. That will come in another Upanishad. Or maybe in this Upanishad afterwards when he is explaining. But the end game is, what is this I? What is this self that I am? It is an all-inclusive principle. Rejecting nothing, retaining nothing. And we know life is pushing us in that direction. When we are born, we accept our parents. Then as we grow, we have brother or sister, we accept them. Then we accept our friends. Then we accept our husband or wife. Then we accept our children. Then we accept our in-laws. Then we accept our extended family. And it grows and grows and grows and grows. Here, but how long will you keep growing? There is always tension. Someone misunderstands, someone doesn't understand. And sometimes the near and dear ones, they become a cause of pain also, because we are loving the form and not the essence. See? So here is a way by which there can be unconditional love, pure love. When we accept everything and everyone as I, and such a person is qualified here. The word used here is, what is that? Putradi Eshana Eshana is the desire, Traya is three, Sannyasaha. Evam Adhikaro na karmasu. Such a person is qualified for sannyas, for renunciation. And such a person is not required to do any action, karma. Is not required. Because doing the bhavana of being of all inclusive principle I am is not an action. It is not in the scope of the thoughts. It's not in the scope of the speech. Here I am speaking. Mind is thinking. But it is the idea that is being presented, or the self that is being told about, the Isha, he is not within the scope of the mind and the speech. Aprapya manasasaha. Mind cannot comprehend it. Yato vacho nivartante. Speech cannot illuminate it. Speech also returns. It cannot open the door. See? So by giving up, tena tyaktena त्यागेन ityarthaha. So by giving up these three desires, protect yourself by giving up all these desires, three desires, because this is the way we assess ourselves in life. Are we in the right direction, or are we going in the wrong direction? If these desires are leaving us as a result of the contemplation, fantastic. Now don't rekindle them. And how will you rekindle them? By taking the world to be real. Automatically, putreshna, vitteshna, lokeshna. These three desires will erupt. न्यहि त्यक्तो मृतः पुत्रो वा भृत्यो वा आत्मसंबंधितायाः अभावात् आत्मानं पालयति अतस्त्यागेन इति अयम् एव वेदार्थः भुञ्जीथाः पालयेथाः. So here he says, just like the dead son or a servant will not protect us. Why do we want a son? To protect us, to take care of us, to light the pyre of ours when we die, so we can protect us during the old age, take care of us when we are sick, and send us to heaven when he does his rites by burning the pyre. But if the son is dead, what will happen? He cannot do anything. The servant cannot serve you if he is not there. See? So just like the dead son or servant will not protect us, similarly, the otherness of the world is not other than me. Don't create the difference. Don't create the distance. So the sense, the world is not other than me, and I am one with the entire world. This is our disposition. This is the vision that the teacher, the Adi Shankaracharya ji, is giving to the seeker. Or we can say the scripture is giving to the seeker. Now in the 5th paragraph, evam tyakta ऐषणः त्वं मा गृधः गृधिं आकांक्षां मा कार्षीर्धन विषयाम् कस्य स्विद्धनं कस्यचित् परस्य स्वस्य वा धनं मा कांक्षीरिति अर्थः कांक्षी इति अर्थः. So here he says in this manner that living, being free from magrida, what we said in the beginning, don't covet other people's wealth. That was what we said. Don't covet, don't desire. Magrida. Did you create the world that you want to own it? You did not create. At this moment we are saying. That which is not, then why you want to go the wrong way? If you go after this world and try to own it, then the urge within you to get more and more and more out of this world will just keep multiplying, and eventually you will exhaust. And if you are intelligent, and if you have observed that this is what you have done from childhood till now, gain more experiences, click more photographs, capture more memories. Why? For the old age. And when the old age comes, no time to indulge in all that, because you are all the time thinking only of the next disease that is going to catch. You have to live in the present. You have got no choice. So if we are intelligent and we have assessed our life that we have been only running after the world, is there a way that I can own the entire world in one shot? This is the way. Ishavasyamitagam sarvam. See? So therefore, don't wish don't wish for the wealth, for the sense of security, and this. So once you have given up the 3 ashanas, remember this. Once we have given up the desire for child, wealth, and name and fame, then do not ignite them again. Magrida. The mind is always going to try to go into the survival mode. The I, the individual, the ego, even though it is not there, yet it seems to be there, and this fellow is always trying, because of its extroverted approach, is always trying some way to establish its lordship, establish its control, even though throughout its life it has never had any control. Everything is slipping from the hands of the ego, between the fingers. As the old age comes, even the memory starts slipping away. Memory is for the ego, not for the Atma. That also slips. But it is trying. Now recognize that nothing is permanent. Nothing we have been able to hold on, including our children, including our body, including our health, wealth. Recognize this. That is why, by grace, we have been brought to this Upanishad. It's not a matter of fluke or coincidence. Something within, somewhere deep within our bosom, we must have worked all this out. Oh, because of all the prayers that you have done, or the rosaries that you have chanted, a righteous life that you have lived, the service that you have meted out to the society, all those different things. Done your duty righteously, lovingly, without complaints. All that has brought us to this Upanishad. So here he says, don't try to secure your wealth, nor do you try to covet, desire other people's wealth. And in this way, do not waste your life over security. Understand, everything is Purnamada Purnamidam. There is nothing lacking in this world. This Purnamada Purnamidam is not an afterthought. It is here and now. At this moment, everything is perfect as it is supposed to be. And what is that perfect? Perfect cannot be the names and forms. Perfect cannot be the past and future. Perfect cannot be the desires. There is only one perfection. Isha, the Atma, the all-pervading principle, the one without a second principle, which itself is Abhinna Nimitta Upadan Karan. That I am. Come to this. And even now, right now, while listening, if it percolates into your heart, and somewhere deep within your heart, yes, don't have to do anything. It will start just like a bud becomes a flower. If these words, they go deep into your bosom, into your heart, it will flower up. This is what happens to every seeker if he is sincere, if he has faith. The bud will become a flower, and it will give the fragrance. So don't sit here with doubts. Don't sit here with judgment. Sit here completely receptive, empty. Be, just like the Zen story says, be the empty cup, so it can be filled. Because if we waste our life only for security, then we will lose our peace of mind. That is the natural outcome. When will the security, how much is required for security? 100,000, 500,000, 1 million, 2 million? How many houses you need to live? 1, 2, 3, 4? Where does the security stop? And the last sentence of this fifth paragraph, Swid iti anarthako ho nipataha. This swid word, swid dhanam, it said, no, that swid, it is just an article, it has got no meaning, so leave it. Now in the sixth paragraph it says, Athva, another meaning of magrudha. Second meaning of magrudha. Athva magrudaha kasmat. Do not desire any wealth. Magrudaha, do not desire any wealth. Kasmat, for whom is this wealth, or for whose is this wealth? Kasya swidhanam, kasya swidhanam iti akshepartho na kasyachid dhanam asti yad grudhyet. For whom is this wealth, or for whose is this wealth? It does not belong to anyone. Therefore, this wealth never belonged to us. So don't hold on to it. Does it mean that whatever we have, we give it? Don't be a fool. But don't covet. And don't live with this disposition that the wealth gives me security. Think of us. These thoughts now from the last fourth paragraph onwards are for the sannyasi. Sannyasi is he who has renounced. Who is he who has renounced? Who is not entangled in the three desires. Who is doing the bhavana of being the Paramatma. That this Paramatma, that essentially that my nature is, that is pervading the Jeev Jagat Ishwar. Everything is pervaded by that alone. That is the common denominator. Such is a sannyasi. He is not. And how many sannyasis you have come in your life? How many Mahatmas you have come in your life? I am not talking about the 5-star Mahatmas. Go to Varanasi, go to Ayodhya, go to Vrindavan, and go with this intention that I want to come across a true Mahatma, not to judge, but you be empty inside, that I want to come across. Lord, please bring a genuine Mahatma in my life. Otherwise, whatever your fears, whatever your desires, that type of Mahatma will come into your life. How come these Mahatmas, one blanket, living decades after decades only on bhiksha, no money in their pocket, and yet eyes are sparkling, continuously smiling, want nothing from the world? If at all, they only bless if anyone comes. How come they are not having this sense of security? How come they don't want more wealth? No. See? So, our disposition has to be that everything is Paramatma, and our sense of possessiveness, when it is mine, we possess. When it is included in the I, then there is no difference between me and you. Then there is no possessiveness also. This is my bottle, means I possess this bottle. I am desirous of food. And till the food is separate from me, till then I can possess it, I can secure it. But when will the satisfaction come? merely looking about food on the TV. If I'm looking at the cooked food, dal chawal, roti sabji, does that satisfy me? Does thinking about food satisfy me? No. When that food which I possessed, means I picked it up with my fingers, it is still separate. It goes into my mouth. Even while I'm chewing, it is separate from me. But when it becomes one with me, now there is no difference between me and the food, isn't it? This consummation has to come about. And this the consummation of the entire Purnamada Purnamidam, the entire is one. It will come only when we are focused on the Isha Vasamidagam Sarvam. And as a result of it, on the side, the possessiveness drops away, attachment drops away, association drops away, differences drop away, sense of otherness drops away, because now everything is included. Yeah, wonderful. So, the possessiveness has to be given up, and then he says, आत्मा एव इदं सर्वम इति ईश्वर भावनया सर्वत्यक्तमतः आत्मनः एव इदं सर्वम आत्मा एव च सर्वमतोः मिथ्या विषया गृधिमा कार्षिः इति अर्थः. What is the meaning? Here he says that in the 6th verse it is saying, as I said everything, already I have explained you, and that is that by doing this type of bhavana of Ishvara or of the self, everything, you don't have to drop away anything, everything gets dropped away by itself, and therefore everything has been has come about from the Atma, and everything is of the nature of Atma. Everything has come out of Atma and everything is of the nature of Atma. Eva idam sarvam Atma eva cha sarvamato mithya vishayam gridhim. So, when everything has come out of Atma and everything is of the nature of Atma, then there is nothing to have desire for. Then how can you have everything desire for anything when everything is Atma? If anything, every ornament which has come out of gold is nothing but gold. Every wave which has come out of water is nothing but water. If everything has come out of Atma, the complete principle we are talking, not the individual, the infinite Atma, then the nature, whatever has come out of Atma, is of the nature of Atma only. The material is the Atma only. Think about your dream. Mind is nothing but consciousness. From that consciousness with thoughts. Mind is consciousness with thoughts. As if. From that mind, whose substratum is consciousness, in that mind the thoughts of dream come. What is the thought of a dream? It's a complete universe. Space, air, fire, water, earth, people, plants, rivers, mountains, past, future, birth, death, likes, dislikes, joys, sorrows, hunger, thirst. Inert, conscious. Within the mind, within the dream, there is consciousness and inertness. Can any character or anything in the dream have an independent existence apart from the mind? Not possible. And mind essentially is consciousness. Now, now bring this, if you are nodding there, now bring that conclusion to the waking consciousness, the waking world. That this waking world is also nothing but an expression of your mind, manifestation of your mind. This whole world has come out of the self that you are. And the material that has gone into making this waking world is also nothing but the consciousness that I am. And with regards to this, we have to do the bhavana with faith. With faith. Without coming to any conclusion, because we don't know what the conclusion is. And whenever the conclusion, which is called moksha, which is called realization, which is called nirvana, whatever it may be called, when that happens, you as a person, as an individual, will vanish. Everything will continue. You will be with your wife, you will continue to complain as you normally complain. You will go to sleep, you will wake up. But now, the disposition towards everything is changed. A man or a woman, when they get married in our Indian style, in arranged marriage, the acceptance that he is my husband and she is my wife is based on bhavana. It's on faith. And you continue to live your entire life on that faith that I am committed, those saptapadi. You make commitment with faith that in hardship and joy will be together, etc., etc., etc. I don't know all the 7 steps. You know better. But it is based on bhavana. So all that is ephemeral. Names and forms are ephemeral. They are mithya. They are illusion. Gold is real. Ornament is illusion. Water is real. Wave is illusion. The Paramatma Tattva, which is the substratum of the entire, is real. Names and forms are illusion. So what are we saying? We are not saying give up the world. We are saying hold on to the reality and let go of that which is not real. So what is not real? Name and form is not real. See? See, if we possess, we are carrying the load, we are carrying the burden. If I am possessing 1 rupee, for 1 rupee, what is the lowest denominator paper here? $5. It's so light. You hold on to the $5 like this with 2 fingers. How long can you hold it? You're possessing it. Someone tries to pull, you don't give it away. You hold. How long can you hold it? Eventually, your 2 fingers, which are holding that very light $5 note, will get tired and they will let go. There is nothing in this life that we can hold on to permanently. So when we possess something, it becomes a burden. We become tired. And this is your experience. We are not telling something out of the world. This is your daily experience. When we possess, I am this body, we get tired. This is my duty, I get tired. This is my life, my man. From childhood till now, I've been only toiling and toiling and toiling. When will I get some peace? Tired. And as a result of that load, as a result of that burden, we suffer. And but when we belong, instead of possessing, instead of these are my employees, they have to do what I say. These are my thoughts, they have to do what I say. This is my family, everyone must. When I enter the house, everyone starts behaving themselves. And what have the children written for their father? Hitler. They don't call him dad. Hitler. That is the name for him in their WhatsApp. You lose everyone when you possess, control, administer. But if instead of possessing, you are belonging, when you belong to someone, when you belong to the world, then you are free. Then that boss who never wanted to get away from the office, thinking that till he is not there, the work doesn't get done. And one time he had to go away for a month because of his sickness. The business did better when he was not there. When employees become shareholders of the company, belong, the company becomes successful. But when the employees are an commodity to be used, abused and thrown out when not required, such company can never, any business can never be successful. Any household also will not be successful if that attitude is there. But you make them equal partners. Let's share all the successes and share all the losses together. When we belong, we are free. When we possess, we carry the burden and complain or are in misery. Understand this. And this is the way to unload everything. And as a result of this unloading, what are we unloading? We are unloading the sense of otherness. By taking the stance, Isha Vasam Idagam Sarvam, we are unloading, Tena Tyaktena, the sense of otherness. And when we have unloaded the sense of otherness, then there is no agitation in our mind, then there is no restlessness in our mind. Is it not true? When you go to sleep every night, when you give up the sense of otherness to this world as a result of contemplation on the sleep, is your mind restless? Is your mind agitated? Is your mind burdened? Or has it become free? Every night do this exercise before you go to sleep. Then you will wake up also with that idea only. So in this way, this sense of otherness is what creates the agitation and restlessness. So protect yourself. Nobody wants to be agitated and restless. How do we protect ourselves? Not by child, not by wealth, not by name and fame, not by giving lectures. Then how? By doing the bhavana, Ishavasya sarvam. This is how we protect ourselves. We come back to the base. We come back to the foundation. We accept, not come back, we accept the self that I am to be the foundation, to be the Ishavasya, to be that common denominator. And in this way, how can I then have any desires? So now, with this, the first mantra is concluded. Now we enter into the second mantra. So first mantra was for the renunciate. First mantra was for the person who is naturally, effortlessly able to do the bhavana of Ishavasya Midagam Sarvam, and therefore no effort was required. Going to sleep requires no effort. You think and you are there. Even that thought also dissolves away. So this was for the sannyasi who is a renunciate. There is no karma involved, no activity, no doership involved in this process, in the first verse. Now the second verse begins. He says, this is the that he who is arrogant of being a doer, what he has to do for. Now the second verse is for this. There are two types in our Upanishads, in our scriptures. There is always an tit for tat, or these two standpoints are at loggerheads. And what are they? One is those believing that something needs to be done in order to get something, and the other is of the Jnana Marg, and which is that everything is as it is. So those who believe in yoga, pranayama, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, puja, japa, doing the yajna, doing the tapasya, doing the dana, charity, all this is doing. I have to do charity, I have to listen, I have to do listening. Oh, very good, very good. Now I have to do Ishavasya Midam Sarvam. Again do. What do? By doing, you are not going to get anywhere. Recognize this. The thought of doing may appear, but where will it appear? It will appear only in the mind. It will only appear in the equipment. It will appear in the world. But Isha, that common denominator, it is independent, even though it is supporting all activity, but it is independent of activity. The space supports all activity. The wind is moving, the fire is crackling, the water is running around, evaporating and then pouring down. Earthquakes are happening, human beings are moving, everything is supported by the space. But is space getting the tickling when we are moving around? Or the earth is moving around, is the space getting tickled? Space remains, even though space is supporting the entire universe in the outside world. Bhutakash, even though the space is supporting the entire gross universe, the space is independent of all its contents. It is not affected. The air cannot dry the space. The fire cannot burn the space. The water cannot wet the space. See? And so on. Same way, this Atma, this Isha, is that principle which is supporting all activity, but no activity can touch it. Thought of sleep is not equal to sleep. Thought of self is not equal to self. Because thought is something which is coming and going, and self is that which is permanent, which is continuous, which is constant. So here he says in the introduction to the second verse, एवं आत्मविदः पुत्रादि एषणात्रय संन्यासेन आत्मज्ञान अनिष्टतया आत्मा रक्षितव्यः इत्येष वेदार्थः। अथ इतरस्य अनात्मज्ञतया आत्मग्रहणाय अशक्तस्येदम् उपदिशति मंत्रः। So so again, what we had just said, it is reiterating before entering into the second verse, that in this way the Upanishad, the Upanishad is indicating that the one who is focused towards the self or contemplating on the Ishawasamidam Sarvam, what did he say? Who is Ishavasa Idam Sarvam? Discover yourself to be one with everything. And what is everything? Jeev Jagat Ishwar. What is everything? Waking, dream, deep sleep, Samadhi. Entire. See, when we say waking, waking includes the waking universe that you are seeing right now. Don't only focus on the waking, then you are missing out on the dream and sleep. Always come back to that which is all inclusive. So, discover yourself to be one with everything. Then second, Magrudha, give up that which is other than us. Everything that is other than us, everything that is changing, give it up. The Eshana that was told, Tena Tyaktena Bhunjitaha, that is give up, yeah. And Magrudha, let there be no desire, not only desire pressure working on us. When the pressure is there, then the city bachti hai. Pressure cooker ki, we get that whistle, the steam kettle, when the pressure is built up inside. Same thing is happening. The pressure is building up, speaking is going on. Pressure is building up, activity goes on. Desires happen. Don't build up any pressure. Therefore, when he says, Evam Atmavidaha, those who know the self, Putradi Eshana Taraya Sannyasena Atmajnana Nishthataya Atma Rakshitavyaha Ityesha Vedartaha. So, in this manner, the one who knows or is focused towards the self, or who is accepting that there is only one self, the common denominator, the constant principle, and this he has come to by giving up the three Eshanas, the desire for the child, the desire for the wealth, and the desire for the name and fame. These three have been given up, and he is firmly rooted in the knowledge of the self. When he says here, Atmavidaha, Atmavidaha is the knower of the self, or the one who is rooted in the self, who is constantly in the contemplation, in the self as the self. So firmly rooted in this in the knowledge of the self, such a person, uh, uh, what is that? Rakshitavyah ityesha vedartha. Uh, we have to protect ourselves from being lost in the multiplicity of this world. So when we are coming to Vedanta, we are coming to this Upanishad. Upanishad is Vedanta. If you are coming to biology class and the teacher is teaching you biology and you are studying geography and you brought geography book, what will you get? Punishment. You have to think the way along the lines of the biology or the physics or whichever class you are in. Now we are in Vedanta. So we're in Vedanta, the topic is always the self. So do not get distracted by any other topic. Protect yourself from getting distracted by any other topic. Don't get distracted. But what, after coming to know Ishavasyanidam Sarvam, that I am that who is pervading everything. Now, but what will happen to my mother? What will happen to my children? What will happen to my wife? What will happen to my husband? What will happen to my wealth? If these thoughts come, correct them. Unnecessary. But what will happen if I come to realize, then what will happen to all the responsibilities that I have? First get realized, then you worry about it. This worry is only when there is sense of otherness. Where all inclusivity is, there is no worry because there is no desire. Because there is no desire. But apart from this, atha, now the second sentence in the introduction, atha itarasya अनात्मज्ञतया आत्मग्रहणाय अशक्तस्येदम उपदिशति मंत्रः. Everyone is not like this. Everyone is not able to contemplate on the self. Everyone is not able to give up the three desires of the child, wealth and name and fame. Everyone is not able to give up the sense of otherness. Everyone is not able to do that. So there are these other kind of people. Now the second verse introduction is coming. Then there are these other kind of people, those who are abiding in knowledge. And what is their knowledge? Their knowledge is there is gross body, there is subtle body, there is causal body. That means they are still in the relative existence. They are still in the relative existence. And such people are unable to appreciate. They are listening to this verse. Maybe some of us are there even while listening to this satsang. We appreciate the first part, but the moment satsang is over, again we have doubts. What did he say? What did he say? What was that? यार फिर से सुनना पड़ेगा, पता नहीं क्लिक नहीं हुआ. So while you are with the teacher, while you are with the topic, it's fine. So such people, anatmajnataya, those anatma, because their attention is on the gross body, subtle body, causal body, meaning waking, dream and deep sleep, they are unable to appreciate the knowledge given in the first verse. They have doubts about it, they have questions about it, there are loose ends about it. How, why? There's nothing how, there's nothing why. It was simple. Do you ask any question how and why to sleep every night? Or you just think of the sleep and go to sleep and go beyond the thought? No, please teach me how to sleep. Nobody has said that. As we get old, people get old and they carry more burden, then these questions come. Fear, because of fear, because of anxiety, these questions come. How to sleep? Then they want tablets or they want drinks. Child doesn't need any. He can't even understand anything. Do you teach him how to sleep? He is in bliss. Very soon I am also going to bliss. Another 2 hours. You also. Do you need a scripture how to go to sleep? Why do we need a scripture to how to realize the self? Stupid. But anyway, it is like that. And here is the scripture. So some people are unable to appreciate the correct meaning. They are understanding the first verse, but not correctly. Some people understand, some people misunderstand, some people understand exactly the opposite. Everyone will be nodding, but what is going on inside only God knows. So many people, these people who are obsessed with the gross, subtle and causal, for them, keeping gross, subtle and causal as important, from that standpoint, if they try to understand the meaning of the first verse, which is the self, they will not understand it correctly, because they are seeing the self through the mirror of the thoughts. Self is not a thought. Self is beyond the thoughts. Self is not a concept. It is beyond the intellect. Self is not an idea. Self is not through inference. It is all that there is. But when our obsession is with gross, subtle and causal, meaning sense of otherness is still playing an important role in our life, such people will not come to the correct assessment or the correct realization of the self, correct meaning of the self. Such people here in this verse are called anatmagnya. Anatma, not self. Those who know, those who are obsessed with not self. What is not self? Everything other than the self. Self is constant, anatma is changing. Self is the common denominator. Self is the water, and the waves are made out of water, but having a beginning and end. So what is anatma? Anatma is all changing is anatma. Everything that is finite is anatma, not self. Everything that is conditioned, limited, ephemeral is anatma. So, in the relative world, such people are unable to come to the correct meaning of the self, and that is what is told here. Such people are called anatmagya, and such people bring these anatmagya people, such people bring everything to relate to I. If I am speaking, if you must have noticed this in life, if someone comes and says, yesterday I went to a satsang and I was listening to Ishavasya Upanishad. Before that person is able to finish the sentence, you jump in. Oh, Ishavasya Upanishad. I also know about Ishavasya. Isn't it that Upanishad with 18 verses? Oh, I have heard this Mahatma, I heard that Mahatma. Arey, that fellow was telling something. You didn't even allow that person to complete. One mother comes and says, oh, my child is done very well in his exams, and the other one, oh, my child also came first. Let her enjoy telling about her child. Someone comes and says, this is all social gatherings. Yesterday I was driving and someone came and hit me, and I now got my bumper is off, is hanging. Oh, that's all. A few weeks ago I was driving and someone hit me and my bumper and my back and everything gave. And I got hurt. इसमें भी, in this also competition. These are the people who are anatmagya. For them, I is important. Which I? Which is holding on to all the experiences. We want to, in the Ishavasya, we expand that I to add infinitum. It includes everything. But for anatmagya, this I, it has to be established in every environment, in every interaction, in every contact, in every experience. They will not allow another person to speak. Little bit we study Vedanta or some Gita or Bhagavad Gita, and we think we know everything. And then we keep talking like us, give lecture after lecture after lecture. This is what our in Puranas the story comes about Daksha Maharaj. The Daksha is replaced. He was killed. He was Sati's, Lord Shiva's wife's father. And when he was killed, then what was the head given to him? That of a goat. What does goat do? Meh. Meh, I. In Hindi, it is called meh, meh. Continuously, I did this, I did that, I went there, I did this satsang, I went to sleep. Yesterday I had a good sleep. You didn't have a good sleep. Oh, I had a good sleep. If you didn't have a good sleep, oh, I also didn't have a good sleep. My sleep was worse than your sleep. And if the other says I had a good sleep, my sleep was better than your sleep. My disease is more important than your disease. My accident is more important than your accident. Competition to establish the I. In the first verse, we are dissolving the I. Why the I gets established? Because the attention or the reality has been given to the gross, the subtle and the causal. The reality has not been given to the Atma. We are listening to it. Yes. So these are the anatmagya. But when it comes to the Mahatmas, like Shirdi Baba, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Ramana Maharishi, Nisargadatta Maharaj, Mirabai, go on and on and on. There is no end to all these Mahatmas. They never say anything about themselves. They never talk about their past. They never talk about their relations. They never heal themselves. Yet, they have become an instrument in the hands of the infinite to bring auspiciousness, healing, nourishment to other people. Why do we like going to Mahatmas? Because they never compete with our commentary. They will never talk. You will never have seen, if you come across Mahatmas, who talk about their parents, who talk about their siblings, who talk about their miseries in life, who talk about their diseases, who talk about their misfortunes. Never. That's why we love going to be in their company. And in this way, but when we are there, anyone talks to us, immediately, hey, तू अपना मुंह बंद कर, मेरी बात सुन. You stop talking. I'll tell you. My story is more important than your story. And in this way, कुर्वन्नेवेह कर्माणि नेवेह कर्माणि जिजीविषेत शतगं समाः जिजीविषेत शतगं समाः एवं त्वयि नान्यथेतोऽस्ति एवं त्वयि नान्यथेतोऽस्ति न कर्म लिप्यते नरे न कर्म लिप्यते नरे. The second verse is कुर्वन्नेवेह कर्माणि जिजीविषेत शतगं समाः एवं त्वयि नान्यथेतोऽस्ति न कर्म लिप्यते नरे. Anyway, the meaning and all, it's already 9:05. I'll tell the meaning next week. We'll begin the verse in our next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.